Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maria, and today we're taking a look at the Lovevery The Companion Playkit for ages 22 to 24 months. We're going to see if we can't recreate the same playkit for a more budget-friendly price, and we'll also take a look at which items we can actually find around the house so that we can reduce the price even more. As always, I do need to mention that Lovevery does make high-quality toys and they are Montessori aligned, so if you're tight on time and you've got the budget for these boxes, they're definitely a great option to introduce some Montessori materials into your home, especially if your little one attends a Montessori school and you need just a little bit of Montessori materials in your home. However, if you've got a little bit more time to look around, you can certainly recreate these boxes and have the budget to create even more Montessori activities for your home. So it just really depends on what you're working with. Let's take a quick look at what the Companion Playkit has to offer for ages 22 to 24 months. We're starting out with the wooden posting stand, which is a nod to the knobbed cylinders from the Montessori class. The child is working with two different diameter pegs and they have to figure out which pegs go into which holes, and if they get them correctly, they create this wonderful pattern. The mosaic button board really allows the child to work on their fine motor skills and really make their fingers much stronger, as they really have to push hard to get those little buttons in. They're also working on more color matching and slowly working on making patterns. Graham Turns 2 allows our little ones to see a typical birthday party for a 2-year-old, also gives insight to a little problem-solving situation as some milk is spilled and we need to figure out how to clean that mess up. Transfer tweezers and felt stars allows our little ones to refine those fine motor skills even more, as they have to work with those little tweezers to pick up the felt stars and put them in the little basket. The Montessori Animal Match provides our kids with 6 animals and 6 matching cards. Also allows us to work on a little bit of sorting, as there are 2 wild animals, 2 pets, and 2 farm animals. And of course, that set does come with a little drawstring bag for storage. The buckle barrel allows our little ones to really refine that buckle motion, as they have to practice putting it together and then taking it apart. The chunky wooden jigsaw puzzle is a great first step into jigsaw puzzles, as there's no wrong way to put the 4 pieces together. I'm sure if you're not new to this series, you'll know exactly what I have to say, which is some of these items could have definitely been introduced earlier, especially that matching set. I've just put out my video on all the different matching activities that we've been working on, and the simple item to picture matching was something that we've been working on a very long time ago. Obviously, every child will develop at their own pace, but the simple animal to very simple picture of an animal matching is something that they will work on quite early in their matching journey. Of course, if your little one is just now finding interest in this activity, that is also completely fine. But for some little ones, this will definitely be a bit too late in the game. They will definitely find a use for these animals, as they lend to a lot of wonderful pretend play. And even now that Stella has mastered the simple item to picture matching, she still loves revisiting this activity. However, this surely isn't going to provide our kids with that extra learning opportunity that we really look for in these Montessori activities. I will say this play kit is really focused on those fine motor skills, which is wonderful. This is exactly what our kids really need to be developing at this age. You may, however, have also noticed that your little one is really into building and pretend play right now. And if your child is not very interested in these kind of fine motor activities, that's also fine. This is the beauty of doing Montessori at your own pace at home instead of following a subscription box, is that you can really define what your child is interested in and present them the activities that will really benefit them in their own unique journey. So I always encourage you to take a look through the play kit before you invest in it, to really understand whether this is something that your child is really showing an interest in, and if this is something that your child is working towards. If not, it may make more sense to simply buy these items one at a time as you see the opportunity and the need for them arise. With that said, let's take a look at what we can find online to recreate this play kit in a more budget-friendly price. We will go through every single item, and at the end we'll go through which items you can actually leave out and simply recreate with what you've got at home to reduce the price even more. So taking a look first at that wooden posting stand. As I mentioned, this is definitely a nod to the Montessori knobbed cylinders, and I will go ahead and recommend that we actually get a set of those in lieu of any other type of posting activity. The reason being that the knobbed cylinders actually really work on that pencil grip that our kids really need to be working towards, as opposed to the kind of grip they will need to hold those pegs. Moreover, the pegs really only have the 2 different sizes to differentiate between, the larger and the smaller diameter. And once the child masters that, the novelty of that material will be gone. There's a couple of extensions that we could definitely work on with the different colors, maybe even some blindfold work, but for the most part, once your child figures out those 2 different sizes, that work is complete. With the knobbed cylinders, there's a plethora of extensions that we can work on. You don't need to get the entire large set that they will see in the primary class. There are smaller half sizes available online. Some of them are on Etsy and some of them are on Amazon. This is the one that I'm going to recommend. Full disclosure, this is not the one that we have, but I have purchased from this specific store on Amazon before. The one that we have was passed down to us from an actual primary class, so Stella's been working on the full set before. But again, for the toddler ages, even the half set is perfectly fine. But with this set, you are getting those 4 blocks, and they have 4 different types of size differentiation to work on. And then we can start putting them all together and dumping all of the cylinders into the center, and the child now has to work on the 4 different types of knobbed cylinders to differentiate which one goes where. And once they've mastered that, then we can put on a little blindfold, and then they have to really work with their sense of touch to fully understand what goes where. So this material will last you far into that primary class years as well. The mosaic button board is definitely an interesting activity to really refine those fine motor skills and really work on that finger strength. I do appreciate that the Lovevery one is quite simple and really just focuses on following a random pattern of colors as opposed to trying to create a picture. However, it will really depend on your child's personality which one they prefer. Stella, for example, doesn't like following just a random pattern. She really wants to be creating something. Even when she's working with mega blocks or building blocks, she's always saying that she's creating a duck or a rhino. So she would really be more interested in actually creating a pattern or a picture of something. So I'm sure if we were to introduce a material like this, she would actually prefer this Amazon alternative, which does create actual pictures of something. Now, they're definitely not the most Montessori aligned pictures because they do have faces on animals. But as I've mentioned before, for us personally, this is the portion of Montessori that we're not very strictly adhering to. I think this may be one of the deciding factors of whether you go with this alternative option or you stick with the actual Lovevery Playkit. Graham Turns 2, the book, will definitely be the second deciding factor of whether you go with the Playkit or with the alternative option. This is one of the books that I've had the harder time finding something that will be more reality-based and still follow a similar plotline. There are a variety of you are turning 2 books and now you're 2 books that showcase the different things that our child may expect and the different milestones that they've reached, but they don't follow that same wonderful storyline that the Lovevery book does follow. The ones that do follow a similar storyline are unfortunately not with pictures of actual children, but with pictures of animals. So again, it will really depend on whether this is something that you strictly adhere to in your house. We do not, so I would have no issues introducing one of these other alternatives to Stella as a book. But this may be the second deciding factor of whether you choose this Playkit or the alternatives. As for the transfer tweezers with felt stars, this is definitely something that we can very easily recreate, and it depends on what you'd like to go with. This is an activity that Stella has loved for a very long time, and she's still working on actually getting that tweezer portion down. But it also allows you to work on some color recognition and color matching. If you have other things in your house that can be picked up by tweezers, but you simply don't have actual child-sized tweezers, you can purchase them in this kind of set. We love all the different items in this set, and it definitely works on a lot of other skills, including using a little pipette, as well as getting our hands ready for those scissor skills. But if you have everything else and you really just need the tweezers, you can get them for quite cheap on Amazon here. We have been using pom-poms for our tweezer practice, but they are definitely more difficult to grab than the felt stars would be. So if you're interested in the felt stars, there's several sellers on Etsy that offer a variety of different colors, so I'll go ahead and link some options for you here as well. Now for the Montessori animal match. If you've been following along and you've been purchasing some of the items we've been talking about for the Lovevery comparable play kits, you may have the infamous Melissa and Doug play barn that comes with some farm animals. And as I mentioned when I originally introduced this item will definitely work for more than one purpose. Not only the latches, not only the pretend play, but also creating some item to picture matching. So you can very easily take those animals and print out some pictures, and you can have your item to picture matching. Not only that, you can make more and more extensions when you're creating these cards yourselves. As you'll notice that the Lovevery cards simply have the white background, which is one of the ways that I first scaffolded Stella's skills when we did the first item to picture matching. But it's more difficult to match these items when there's a different kind of background, when the animals are in their actual habitats. And it's more difficult still if we present, for example, the baby version of the animal to be matched to the mama or papa figurine. So if you don't have any animal figurines and you haven't purchased that barn yet, you've got 2 options. You can either get a pre-made set like this that does have animals and matching cards all set to go for you, or you can buy some figurines. And I've talked about in my previous video about all the different types of figurines you can get. You can also do this with items around the house. If you've got any kind of cars, you can do it with the cars you've got around the house. You can also do it with what we use to set the table, and you can do it with different clothes. You really don't need to be purchasing anything to be making item to picture matching cards. The only thing I would recommend is getting a laminator, so I'll link the one that I use below, but you really can just print them out as pictures, maybe put them in some sheet protectors or put some tape on them so they're a little bit more resistant, but really a very basic laminator will go a very long way for you if you're interested in creating these kind of activities for your child, because if they are interested in doing any kind of matching work, you're going to probably need to provide them with a lot of variety a lot more than just the 6 animals and the 6 pictures that we've got in this play kit. If you are interested in actually getting some additional figurines for your child, remember that it doesn't have to be animals. Some of our favorites right now are all the different monuments around the world. So I'll go ahead and link some of our favorites down below, as well as my Amazon storefront. I love the quality and the beauty of the Schleich figurines, but they're definitely more investment pieces, so we purchased a few of those. And then for a lot of our matching activities, I go with Wild Republic and Safari Ltd, the different tubes and the poly bags that they've got. If you're in the States, you can actually find these in craft stores like Michael's as well. And a lot of times they'll have coupons that you can apply on top, so it'll bring the price even lower for you. Now this one does come with a drawstring bag in case you wanted to take these animals along for the ride with you somewhere. Most of the time we will be presenting this to our children on trays and in baskets. And I'm assuming at this point in your Montessori at home journey, you definitely have these. But I will go ahead and link you to a couple options for drawstring bags if you still don't have any and this is something that you'd be interested in getting. The buckle barrel is definitely something that our little ones are going to be interested in because they've probably noticed that they're being buckled into at least their car seat, if not more items. Stella has definitely become very interested in the fact that she gets buckled into her little wagon, and that's the buckle that she's been practicing on all the time now. Alternative I'll be offering you is the actual Montessori buckle dressing frame, and I do prefer this option for a couple of reasons. Primarily, it's got only 3 buckles. The reason this is great is because this is actually very difficult for our kids to do, and their hands will get very tired by the time they get to that 3rd buckle. But as we know with toddlers, they want to see their work all the way through completion. So if they've got 7 buckles like they do on the Lovevery cushion, they may get very frustrated that they've gotten to the 5th buckle and their hands are tired, but there's still 2 more to be done and they just can't do it. I've mentioned this before, but Montessori materials are definitely very, very intentional, even down to how many buckles are presented to the child. Moreover, the dressing frame is stretched out on a wooden frame, so it's a bit heavier, so it will stay put for the child to simply work on putting those buckles together, as opposed to this cushion that can certainly roll around, and now the child also has to navigate getting that right balance to get the buckles to fit together. There are several places where you can get the dressing frames for the buckles. I'm going to include this one in our price comparison because this is actually one that I am familiar with and a company that I trust to recommend to you guys. The chunky wooden jigsaw puzzle is definitely a very interesting concept and not something that is recreated on the market, but there are very many first step introduction jigsaw puzzles where the child really just has to focus on figuring out how to put these 2 pieces together. There are different sets where you can focus on creating the front and the back of a picture, or you can do the mama and the baby, or you can get this set that progresses from 4 pieces to 6 to 8 and 12. So this is one that will grow with your child. For the sake of this comparison, I'll be including this one in our pricing. So when we take a look at all of the items in our comparable play kit, we're looking at just a bit over $100 versus the $120 that the Lovevery play kit will cost you. But you know we're not going to just stop there. Let's take a look at how we can bring that price down even further. The matching activity can very well just be recreated with what you've got around the house. You can simply take any kind of sets of items around the house, be it something from the kitchen, be it some kind of clothing items, a doctor set, that would be a great one at this age to do. Take a picture of them, find similar pictures online if you're looking for something more complex. You really don't need to invest any additional money into creating an item to picture matching set. Yes, a laminated will be great if you're looking to do this long term and you're going to create more, but you could really just put some tape over it to make it a little bit more resistant and not something that your child can rip that easily. We can definitely take out any cost factor for the matching set. I'm also assuming that your child has at least one type of buckle in their life that they've seen, be it something in their wagon, if they've got a booster seat or a high chair, or even in their car seat. If you have any type of buckle that your child can get access to at least sometimes, you really don't need to provide them with a different kind of way to practice that buckling skill. The first place where Stella really perfected buckling was in her little red wagon. She got out of the wagon and instead of going to the playground, she stood there trying to get the buckle to work just right. And after she got it in her real life scenarios, then she was interested in practicing it with her dressing frame. So you really don't need to spend any money on buckling practice either. And then with a little bit of creativity, you can also get away without purchasing the felt stars and using what you've got around your house for your child to work on those tweezer skills. Little tweezers are definitely not something that most of us have lying around, so I will go ahead and include the price of just the little tweezers. So with those adjustments, and depending on what kind of book you get, we're looking at a play kit that is $60 or even less, which is pretty much half of what the Lovevery play kit will cost you. So like I mentioned, if you are looking for more baskets and drawstring bags to go along with all of these items, you've certainly got more than enough of a budget to do that, but you can also invest that money into providing some additional items for your child, even if it's just additional figurines to work on those matching activities, or simply to provide them with activities that you're finding they're actually gravitating towards. Again, if you enjoy the play kit and you love the look of these items and these look like toys that your child would really be interested in, These are great materials to introduce to your child, but they're certainly not a necessity, and there's certainly not a need to spend $120 for these activities. As always, I hope you found this information useful, and until next time, I hope you stay safe.